National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union will convene a special National Executive Committee meeting today. They want to discuss outcomes of last week's meeting with President Cyril Ramaphosa. Members marched to the union buildings asking Ramaphosa to respond to their demands. Today, Nehawu will shed light on whether any progress has been made since then. Our reporter Masego Rahlaga is on that story and joins me now. Masego, it took weeks for Nehawu to get a meeting with President Ramaphosa to discuss their grievances. Are they likely to be as patient after that meeting in waiting for their demands to be actioned?
Well, we're going to find out today, Anne-Lee, especially with regards to what happened in that meeting last week, Friday. As you know, they had a meeting with, for instance, the Labour Minister, and his team before they met with President Cyril Ramaphosa last week, Friday, and before they actually marched to the union buildings on that Monday to hand over their memorandum of demands to the presidency. They had made some allegations against the Labour Minister, saying, for instance, he didn't know the basic scope of his department. He responded, Anne-Lee, with a media statement basically saying that that was a lie, that he does know the scope of his department. So it was very surprising for us when we saw the pictures from the GCIS, that is the government's communication department, showing a picture that Minister would also be, was also in fact in that meeting. So we're wondering exactly what happened, especially when it comes to that minister, in terms of what we saw, on media statements and some of the things that were written against each other between Nehawu and that department. So we'll be asking questions around that. Of course, we'll be asking questions also, Anne-Lee, about where talks are and where they've been left off, because the presidency did release a statement last week, Friday, after the meeting adjourned, saying that talks would continue. So we're expecting to find out from Nehawu, and in that statement and in their media invite to today's briefing, actually, Anne-Lee, they were saying, there were words in there where they said that they would brief the media on how far those negotiations went, or how not so far those negotiations went. So it speaks to them probably showing some type of resistance in government trying not to adhere to their demands, especially, Anne-Lee, when you look at that bargaining council, that public service bargaining council, that agreement that was made between a lot of nursing unions and public service unions back in 2018, where government had agreed that they would be paying public service workers a 5.2 to 5.4% salary increase in April. That was supposed to be for 3 years. So this year, being 2020, was supposed to be the third and final year for that negotiation or for that agreement to take place. But of course, the Treasury and the Minister of Finance coming out to say that government was simply broke, so that didn't kick in for public service workers this April. So that's also one of the things that Nehawu was asking for, that you cannot expect that our members who are frontline workers, risking their lives, risking the lives of their family members, come to work without a risk allowance, for instance, and also without the salary increase. What do you expect them to do? What do you expect them to eat with things going up, etc., and also with PPE scandals also coming into light? So we're going to ask them about that, and of course we're going to ask them whether they are happy with where negotiations are going and whether or not they will still continue with what they've threatened government about with that nationwide strike.
Right, thank you very much. That was eNCA reporter Masego Rahlaga joining me live from Boksburg. And of course, that press briefing set to get underway a little bit later this afternoon. We will take you there live.